Hello, I'm going to demonstrate an issue that I have with Keycloak and openid-connect. I'm going to briefly go through what the setup is and then demonstrate the issue and potential solutions for the issue. So firstly, we're running Keycloak version 4.8.3. I'm aware that that's a very old version, but for the purposes of this test, that's the version I had to use. That's running in this command prompt at the back here. Over here on the right hand side we have a node server. It's running Express server, but it's a web server, and the key thing here is the back-end web server part deals with all the authentication process. We have the Keycloak login screen, and we have two other browser windows that are important, with the client-based application served from the Express server, this one over here. All the client code is utilizing the server for the authentication process, so the clients in this case deal only with the private node server, and the node server deals with Keycloak. Obviously, within the concept of single sign-on, openid-connect, the clients do redirect to the single sign-in login screen. So we'll demonstrate that quite quickly with the clicking the login button here. Now this is representing two clients that are configured on our Keycloak server, our alpha client and our beta client. We'll log in through the alpha client and we get redirected to the Keycloak server to log in. We can log in this window, or we can log in on the back one. But before we log in on the clients, we will just cover some of the configuration within Keycloak. So within Keycloak we're using the master realm. There's no specific configurations that I've changed at this point. And we have a whole bunch of clients. Most of them are all the default created ones, but we have our alpha client and our beta client. They have, again, no real specific configurations except for the redirect URLs have been configured. The clients are running on HTTPS, but that's not necessary. They would work just the problem, and the solutions would exist on HTTP as well. So that's not relevant as such. So we can see now that obviously we can't re-log in again. It will say we're already logged in, but we can go back. So now within this client we have done the token exchange for the authentication code flow, and we can see various output within here to suggest as such. And we have a refresh token, again that's stored only by the server, and we have an access token. The access token is exposed to the client for the purpose of this demonstration, but obviously that wouldn't be the case if you were actually implementing the authentication code flow properly. And the token is exposed simply to get how long's left. The refresh button deals with the token refresh. So we use the refresh token on the server to refresh the access token. The tokens have a 5 minute, 300 seconds lifespan, and we can refresh this token now and it will reset to 300 seconds. We can see output in the console that details the process of refreshing. The details of that are kind of part of how a refresh works, so I won't cover it, but nonetheless the refresh occurs and the tokens are refreshed, and our lifetime, our access token, is valid now for another 5 minutes. Now the key issue here is that in our second client, if we log in using the alpha client again, so this is the second window. Now these are within the same browser session. They could be obviously tabs of the same window, but for simplicity they're separate tabs. They're not in any enclosed environment in any way. They're not like private browser mode or anything like that. They are effectively just two tabs of the same browser. Now if I log in through the alpha client here, it does the code exchange. We can see some logs in the background for that happening, and we can see that it received an access token correctly, and we can refresh now the access token. If we refresh this access token on the right hand pane, the one we've just received, it works correctly. But now if we refresh this one, which we obviously have done a few times before, it fails. And the error we get from Keycloak is stale token. So that pretty much describes the error. From there, we can demonstrate what the cause and a fairly simple solution is. Running the command rs will reset the node server so that all the tokens sessions are removed, and we both clients now return to the login screen. Within the realm settings, tokens, the revoke refresh token option is enabled. If we disable that to off, save the changes, and then using our two clients, we can log into the alpha client here. We'll let it count down a few seconds and refresh to verify that that works. And in the right hand side, log into the alpha. A few more seconds, refresh that, successful. Refresh this one, also successful. So the revoke refresh tokens option is what causes this not to work in this context. Another alternative to us solving this problem, and potentially more correctly, depending on how your interpretation of clients and other such things work in Keycloak, is that if we re-enable the revoke, just so that we can reproduce the error again, reset the server, log into alpha to both of them, again just to validate the error still exists. Yep. So we'll reset the server one final time, but in this case we'll log into alpha client on the left and the beta client on the right, and now we can refresh both clients as many times as we want. So either clients should be using different, be different. It's difficult to find the terminology correctly because these are referred to as clients, and internally inside Keycloak there are clients, but effectively these different, I suppose, apps, from one perspective, these different apps should use a different client, or revoke refresh token should not be enabled. Hopefully that covers the problem that I've experienced. Clear enough. The code for the server should be made available in GitHub at some point later, so that will be, you can use that as a reference. It's all written in kind of plain but modern JavaScript, so there's awaits and stuff, so it won't work on things like old IE and such like. It has to be a fairly recent browser, but otherwise the code will be available to review. Okay, so thanks for watching.